I am continuing in my reading. What I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am continuing reading in a chronological order, according to event, not according to publication or volume, so I'm skipping around a bit as I move along. I am continuing in my reading, and this again is the Doctrine and Covenants. Now, my last two videos were section 121, which, along with sections 122 and 123, are excerpts from a letter that Joseph Smith wrote while in Liberty Jail. Now, this was written or dated March 20th, and he was probably writing this over several days because it's like a 20-page letter. And what we have here in these three sections is about 20 to 25% of the total letter. So not all of it was canonized. It was added to the Doctrine and Covenants much later. It was originally added in 1876 by Orson Pratt. He was the one that compiled these three sections, but it was done under the direction and under the command of Brigham Young. Now remember that at this time, Joseph Smith and others have been in Liberty Jail for about 4 months. They were shipped here November 30th. So we have December, January, February, and most of March, so about 4 months. Liberty Jail is a hole in the ground, just a pit, that is then covered over by the jail building and accessed through a small hole in the ceiling. So there's no escaping it, there's no jailbreaks going to happen, and it's very cramped quarters. I do not believe the ceiling was really high enough for them to stretch out very well, and I believe there were about six of them in the prison at this time. But now let us look at section 122. The heading states, "The word of the Lord to Joseph Smith the prophet while he was a prisoner in the jail at Liberty, Missouri, March 1839. Recorded in History of the Church, Volume 3, pages 300 to 301. Now, I don't know why it doesn't state that this was on the 20th, because it's all from the same letter, so I find that just kind of odd. But you'll note the first part, section 121, was taken in various excerpts from pages 289 to 300. I think there were 5 portions that were taken out, turned into section 121. 122 is a single portion pulled out, as it was recorded, page 300 and 301. So it is immediately after, or shortly after, it's like a paragraph or two separating section 121 from 122 in the letter. But now, let us read. "The ends of the earth shall inquire after thy name, and fools shall have thee in derision, and hell shall rage against thee. While the pure in heart, and the wise, and the noble, and the virtuous shall seek counsel and authority and blessings constantly from under thy hand. And thy people shall never be turned against thee by the testimony of traitors. And although their influence shall cast thee into trouble, and into bars and walls, thou shalt be had in honor. And but for a small moment, and thy voice shall be more terrible in the midst of thine enemies than the fierce lion, because of thy righteousness, and thy God shall stand before thee forever and ever. If thou art called to pass through tribulation, if thou art in perils among false brethren, if thou art in perils among robbers, if thou art in perils by land or by sea, if thou art accused with all manner of false accusations, if thine enemies fall upon thee, if they tear thee from the society of thy father and mother and brethren and sisters, and if with a drawn sword thine enemies tear thee from the bosom of thy wife, and of thine offspring, and thine elder son, although but 6 years of age, shall cling to thy garments, and shall say, my father, why can't you stay with us? Oh, my father, what are the men going to do with you? And if then he shall be thrust from thee by the sword, and thou be dragged to prison, and thine enemies prowl around thee like wolves for the blood of the Lamb, and if thou shouldest be cast into the pit, or into the hands of murderers, and the sentence of death passed upon thee, if thou be cast into the deep, if the billowing surge conspire against thee, if fierce winds become thine enemy, if the heavens gather blackness, and all the elements combine to hedge up the way, and above all, if the very jaws of hell shall gape open the mouth wide after thee, know thou, my son, that all these things shall give thee experience, and shall be for thy good. The Son of Man hath descended below them all. Art thou greater than he? Therefore, hold on thy way, and the priesthood shall remain with thee, for their bounds are set, they cannot pass. Thy days are known, and thy years shall not be numbered less. Therefore fear not what man can do, for God shall be with you forever and ever. Now this section just kind of jumps right into it. We're not actually told who he's talking to here. Now we can assume that Christ here is talking directly to Joseph Smith. But I like that it doesn't actually state that in the section, because this is something we can all claim. This is a blessing that we can all claim if we are living faithful. All these tribulations, all these trials, murderers, death, if the sea rises against you, if the very elements of earth rise to hedge up your way, and even if hell itself strives with all its power to stop you, as long as you are faithful, God is with you, and nothing can hinder you. Now this is, as I said, clearly a message at the time directed to Joseph Smith, but it is one that applies to all of us. Notice a few other things there. It says, those who accuse you, right? If thou art accused with all manner of false accusations. Remember, they must be false. If the accusations are true against us, then we have no claim on this promise. But my favorite part is there in the end of verse 7. All these things shall give thee experience, and shall be for thy good. Doesn't say it's going to give knowledge. Doesn't say it's going to give power. It is going to give experience. Because experience is the only true way to know anything. We claim to have a lot of knowledge, but how much of it is actually based on the testimony of others? That we are saying, we believe what this person told us, and so I know it's true. Even our testimony of the gospel is largely based on testimony of the Spirit. But when we experience something, then we have a knowledge of, then we truly know. When we experience the Holy Spirit, then we know the Holy Spirit. We have experienced it. Until we have experienced it, we may have an intellectual understanding, but we do not have true knowledge. And I love that Christ is saying this here. This is not just to teach you something. It is to give experience. Because through experience is how we truly know. But we leave that here, and I will read section 123 in our next video. That will be the last section in this letter from Liberty, and be the last one from Liberty. So I will see you there.